Good afternoon and welcome back to the English edition of the Ora News broadcast. I'm Daniel Cook, your host for the Albanian News in English, weekdays at 6 p.m. In today's news, the President of Albania has once again brought up the bill on the administrative territorial division of the country. The news was communicated by the headquarters of the presidency through a press release in which the head of state gave 3 arguments for his decision. He said, "First, even though I share the belief that the reform of the administrative territorial division has been delayed because I consider it to be a major national issue, I regretfully conclude that during the process of drafting the new division of local government, Article 108, Paragraph 2 of the Constitution of the Republic of Albania, which clearly defines that the boundaries of local government units cannot be changed without considering the opinion of the people living in them, is being misapplied. Secondly, in my estimation, the greater number of local government units has been reduced, and the bigger they become, the more they violate the principle of decentralization of the local government and local autonomy, which is enshrined in Article 13 of the Constitution of the Republic of Albania. Third, but not least, I think that the reform of the administrative territorial division must necessarily be preceded by proper adjustments to the legal framework that regulates the organization and the functioning of the local government units in the Republic of Albania," the head of state said in his press release. Earlier this month, President Nishani reintroduced 3 other bills, specifically those involving the state police, the High Judicial Council, and the administrative court. However, Prime Minister Rama, in his response, stated that the majority will vote again in Parliament on all the laws that have been reintroduced by the head of state. The Prime Minister Edi Rama has stated that he will oppose the reintroduction of the administrative territorial reform. Prime Minister Edi Rama has reacted after the decree of President Nishani to reintroduce the administrative territorial reform to Parliament for reconsideration. In a post on the social network Facebook, Rama writes that the majority will repeal the decree of the President in the first plenary session of the new season. In the first plenary session of the Parliament, the majority will back the summer decrees of the President, says the Prime Minister's message. Yesterday, Prime Minister Edi Rama said that the reintroduction of the administrative reform would not be a problem because the reform will enter into force despite the controversy brought up by the head of state. The head of the opposition, Lulzim Basha, wrote on his Facebook that the Albanians' interests are not being represented by the Rama Meta Kokodhima oligarchy. According to him, the government is not a solution to the problems, but a problem in itself. He wrote, "The Rama Meta Kokodhima oligarchy and the representatives of crime in the assembly can never represent the interests of the majority of Albanians. According to him, this trio is squeezing the country's economy, plunging the country into extreme uncertainty. They have captured and are squeezing the country's economy. They have broken the law and order. They are plunging Albania into extreme uncertainty. This government is not the solution, but the problem itself," concludes the message of the head of the Democratic Party, Lulzim Basha. The Prime Minister Edi Rama spoke today about the destruction of the Albanian environment, as well as the depletion of its natural resources. The Prime Minister of Albania, Edi Rama, said today during the meeting of the National Council of the territory that this meeting comes as a result of the destruction of the strategic sources of development, such as the territory and all the natural resources. He said that this meeting will make several important decisions, which aim to put an end to the decisions being made by many local government units, which have had a destructive effect on the territories of the country. According to him, ignorance and incompetence have dominated in the various territories of the country. He made this statement: "Look at our sea coast and what has happened to the areas of land which, in the past, were cultivated with olive trees. This must come to an end. Our efforts have been great and will be great in order to fight illegal constructions. But one of the main problems that we have relates to the unlawfulness that is generated through the permissions from local government units. First of all, the National Council for the Territory will start to review the instruments for the territorial planning in order to serve the purposes of the new territorial division and also to create a culture of legal discipline," said Rama. Prime Minister Rama declared that new development permits will be suspended, along with all detailed plans of local government, until the creation of new local government units after the 2015 elections. Nevertheless, he added that development will not be stopped, as there will be special permits which will serve the interests of the citizens. He added that there will not be permits given for the construction of apartment blocks, giving away instead to a path of development which relates to tourism, agriculture, economy, and the creation of new jobs. Rama said that development permits which serve the public interest and national development will continue to be issued. The Socialist Party is bringing accusations against the mayor of Tirana, Lurzim Basha. They say that he is serving only his own political party. Today, the Socialist Party has once again accused the mayor of Tirana, Lurzim Basha, of dealing only with the growth of the branches of the Democratic Party and not with the growth of Tirana as a whole. They say that for this reason, he should be removed from that duty in order to pave the way for a man who can properly deal with the capital city. The economic secretary of the Socialist Party, Ervin Bushati, issued a statement from the park at the artificial lake to denounce the cementing of a portion of the park with the permission of the municipality of Tirana. Bushati had these words to say: "Mayor Basha, one of the lies that he has told us is that he will now allow buildings in the park of Tirana, that he will be a mayor and would not deal with politics. The best thing would be to continue his habit of lying, because in these years he has not done any work. He has only focused on the growth of the Democratic Party branches and not of Tirana. Today, he should keep his word like a man and resign from his office to pave the way for the citizens to elect someone who will really do the work for the city." A police helicopter was fired upon today while monitoring the Dukajin drug operation. The operation for the destruction of plots of cannabis in Dukajin of Shkodra continues into its second day. It is learned that the helicopter that was monitoring the area was fired upon. Fortunately, no one was injured in the attack. The anti-cannabis operation will be similar to the police intervention in Lazarat, with the same police forces and the same munitions. The police forces will search every citizen's home. A source from the police had this to say: "The police forces will continue searching every home and building in the Dukajin area, where the action is taking place. The Renea forces have surrounded Dukajin and are ordered to shoot any person who threatens the police. The state police, the Quick Intervention Forces, and Renea began their intervention in the early hours of the morning in Dukajin, in the wake of the extensive operation that was launched yesterday to destroy cannabis plots. The Interior Ministry has considered this action to be the second most important operation, after that of Lazarat. The official sources said today that the rain has hampered the police intervention in the forest and mountain terrain. But the operation, which started at 7 o'clock this morning, did not cease for a moment. The police are divided into 13 groups in order to oversee the entire area. 160 troops, 3 helicopters, and 15 Army vehicles are engaged in this police operation, which is an increase compared to yesterday. The state police has announced that 2 specialized groups from Renea will be on standby to support the police officers that will be working for the identification and destruction of narcotics in any unexpected situation. The judicial police officers and 12 police forensic science experts are also part of the operation. They will do the legal documentation and collect the evidence at the crime scenes. In its first day of operation, the police were shot at by narcotic growers, but there were no injuries. The investigation so far indicates that the money that was stolen from the Bank of Albania has not been gambled away. The prosecution contends just the opposite of what Ardian Bitrai has stated so far, that he has lost the $7 million he stole from the Bank of Albania while gambling. Based on the responses of the Directorate of Money Laundering and the Gambling Agency, the prosecution concluded that the man suspected of stealing the money from the Treasury Department has not lost all the money in the casino or the betting joints. From the investigation that has been conducted by the 2 institutions mentioned above, Bitrai has not played large amounts of money to sports betting joints. The specialists of the Agency of Gambling and of the Money Laundering Directorate failed to find any sign which can connect Ardian Bitrai to a lot of money lost in gambling. According to specialists, if such amounts of money were played, they would be detected by the system. Furthermore, owners of the betting places must declare the amount played by their VIP customers. The responses from the agencies that monitor Albanian money seems to reinforce the doubt that Bitrai has lost in gambling and support the idea that he did not act alone. The work of the prosecution is expected to be hard because the bank's servers carry footage for only 30 days, while the robbing of the bank started 4 years ago. It is learned that the whole system was built by the Bank of Albania, ranging from buying the cameras, their installation, and their monitoring by bank security workers. The prosecution has questioned all the safety department managers. They have stated that the storage capacity for the security camera footage is only 30 days of footage. After questioning Dorian Choloku on Thursday, the investigation group is expected to interrogate 9 other detainees as well. The criminal lawyers are saying that the prosecution must not be allowed to request security measures for defendants. The head of the National Chamber of Criminal Lawyers, Saimir Vishai, considered it to be a practice which brought abuse and corruption for years. Speaking of their demand to be part of the judicial reform, Vishai argues that the prosecution should only require culpability, while the court should decide the punishment. Vishai added that it also helps the citizens, as the abusiveness of the court and the prosecution in giving the penalties will significantly decrease. The Chamber of Criminal Lawyers is expected to present its views on the judicial reform, which has turned into a source of contention among the political parties. In an unexpected turn of events, the director of the Albanian Post has resigned from his position. It has been learned that Ardit Qela submitted his resignation to the Ministry of Economic Development, and in his place, they appointed Majlind Lazimi, the current Deputy Minister of European Integration. The resignation comes as quite a surprise, just a few days after Qela made the 6-month analysis of the Post, in which he announced the settlement of debts. The reasons for his resignation are still unknown. It is not known whether Ardit Çela will take up any other position in the state offices or not. Ardit Çela was the director of the Albanian Post for 1 year, and he did bring profit to the institution. Ardit Çela comes from the ranks of the Socialist Party for Integration. Majlind Lazimi has been the Deputy Minister of Integration since October of 2013. Starting from this Monday, the Albanian youth who do not already have a profession can register with the vocational schools. According to the Minister of Social Welfare, Erion Valiaj, the market demand is more for professions rather than for those who have degrees in law or economics. He said, "The market needs specialized people in professional education. So I invite those who do not have good results in school to register in the vocational schools." The Minister of Social Welfare, Erion Valiaj, during a visit to one of the local businesses, said that more than 40,000 citizens have been employed during the first 6 months of this year. The statistics show that we had 43,000 more jobs in the first 6 months of the year, 17,000 of which have been mediated by the labor offices. Meanwhile, 3,000 were from the Employment Promotion Fund, said Valiaj. Minister Valiaj responded to the opposition's accusations by saying that the government does not pretend to have done everything, but it is doing what it can. As the battle against the Ebola virus continues, it is feared that illegal immigration may be fueling the spread of the disease. The illegal entry of immigrants coming from third world countries has become a serious concern for the spread of the Ebola virus. The Department of Public Health in Gjirokastër has taken measures not only for the operation of the health center in the entry point in Kakavia, but also for establishing a special quarantine room, which will be in readiness for any suspected case at the Gjirokastër Regional Hospital. The Department of Public Health in Gjirokastër has distributed informational material with precautionary counsel about this virus, the risk of infection and transmission of the Ebola virus. So far in our country, no carrier of this disease has been found. The political experts are saying that brand new elections may be on the way in the country of Kosovo. An extraordinary general election may be in the cards after the Constitutional Court annulled the election of an opposition speaker. Kosovo may have to hold fresh elections just 3 months after the previous ones, after the Constitutional Court suspended the election of an opposition speaker on Friday. The court said that Isa Mustafa's July 17th nomination was unconstitutional because it was not the largest parliamentary group that nominated the speaker. The ruling comes a day after the two major political blocs presented opposing arguments on who had the right to nominate the speaker at the session of the new parliament on July 17th. The Democratic Party of Kosovo, PDK, disputed the election of Mustafa because following the general election, they remained the largest single party in parliament with 37 seats. On the other hand, a bloc comprised of the Democratic League of Kosovo, LDK, the Alliance for the Future of Kosovo, AAK, and the Initiative for Kosovo, claimed the right to name Mustafa because together they had 47 deputies. While the PDK celebrates an undoubted triumph, it remains uncertain whether the party can now muster the 61 votes needed to elect a speaker. Riza Smaka, a constitutional law expert, told Balkan Insight that if the court decides that only the PDK has the right to nominate a candidate, and if it does not get enough votes in parliament, the country will go to new elections. The parties of the opposition bloc have made it clear that they will not vote for a PDK nominee as Speaker. The bloc has also said it will run as a coalition if the country goes to new elections. The election of a Speaker is a matter of urgency, as only then can the Assembly proceed with the election of a new government. Presenting its case to the court on Thursday, the PDK said that the opposition bloc was not legitimate because it was formed after the general election, at the session of the new parliament. Arsim Bayrami of the PDK told the hearing that the session of parliament in which the bloc was established was of a technical and ceremonial nature. The establishment of a parliamentary group should have been left for another session. On the other hand, the bloc argued that a parliamentary group could be established with 6 or more deputies, as long as they informed the Assembly President. The Prime Minister of Serbia has once again addressed the issues of the EU sanctions against Russia. Serbia will respect the will of the European Union, and it will not grant subsidies for the export of Serbian products to Russia. But it will also refuse to introduce sanctions on the Russian Federation, the Serbian Prime Minister Aleksandar Vučić stated on Friday. Addressing a news conference, Vučić explained that the head of the EU delegation to Serbia, Oskar Benedict, delivered a message to him in Obrenović 2 days ago, notifying the Serbian government that it should refrain from any measures aimed at supporting exports to Russia. This practically means that the country should not substantially expand its export stake in the Russian market, thus replacing the export of EU member countries. Vučić made this statement: "We are taking the notification we received in a responsible manner, and we will maintain a responsible attitude about it. This is a document of a lower degree than a démarche, but we do not wish to underestimate its contents, and it would be irresponsible if we were to behave in such a way," Vučić said. Nevertheless, Serbia has nothing to do with the conflicts in the Ukraine. It did not cause them, nor did it take any side concerning them, he added. "We want peace, and we are striving for peace," Vučić said. He added that the citizens can rest assured in the knowledge that Serbia is in no jeopardy whatsoever. He also said that there is no need for Serbia to introduce new or additional subsidies for the export of goods to Russia. He reiterated that the will of the EU shall be respected, because EU membership is the country's strategic goal and the policy the citizens voted for in the elections. He continued, "We are conducting this policy because it embodies the will of the Serbian government and the Serbian citizens who chose it. Serbia will not introduce sanctions on the Russian Federation, because this is also a part of the policy pursued by the Serbian government." The Serbian Prime Minister, Aleksandar Vučić, said on Friday that he expects no European Union sanctions in the wake of the current situation, and noted that he sees Serbia as a successful and modern country. "I expect no sanctions, and Serbia is not losing anything through this. Whether Serbia can gain anything has nothing to do with either Russia or the Europeans, but only with ourselves," Vučić said. He noted that he sees Serbia as a successful, modern country, and added that he expects it to have the highest economic growth rate in Europe in 2016. "I have said that several times already," he said, "and it just means that we know what we are doing, and our people must understand that," Vučić said in a press conference when asked whether he expects the EU to impose any kind of sanctions on Serbia. "The success of our country depends on us and on our work, the measures we take and our commitment," Vučić said. "Without that, there will be no results either," Vučić stressed, adding that our destiny is in our own hands. The Serbian Prime Minister Aleksandar Vučić said on Friday that he expects the European Union to keep its promise regarding the opening of chapters 32 and 35 in the EU accession talks by the year end. He stressed that the EU is Serbia's largest trade partner. As long as I am the Prime Minister, we will respect the interest of others, but we will address our own issues at first, he said. Serbia has in mind the interest of its citizens. It does not offend anyone. It respects everyone. Serbia is on the path to EU membership, but we expect the EU to keep its promise and open chapters 32 and 35 by the end of the year, Vučić said in a press conference. He warned the exporters not to play games and try repackaging goods from the EU in order to export them to the Russian market. Ladies and gentlemen, that is all the news for this evening. Thank you for watching. Please join us again tomorrow at 6 p.m. for more Albanian news in English, right here on Aura News. Thanks and good night.